Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome back to my channel. This is just a short video today that I want to talk about the film Crimes of the Future by David Cronenberg, which has just been released. And I really love this film. And I've noticed that there's been a lot of negative comment about it online. The critics were basically warm towards it when it was released at Cannes. But a lot of people online have really hated on it. And I want to come to its defence. But first of all, let's talk about Cronenberg for a while. Now, Cronenberg, here he is. What a fantastic photograph that is. And that's very Cronenberg. That's how you want to be portrayed, showing his inner body and the ugliness of it. The thing about Cronenberg is that I've been obsessed with Cronenberg's films for many, many years. I've been a huge fan of his for many, many years. I first discovered him when I was a teenager in the 80s, and I saw Videodrome for the first time. And I came across a filmmaker that his sensibility was so different from mine. He was much more interested in science and biology. He looked at the world in a way that I'd never conceived of before. I was fascinated by his films. I became obsessed with them. So much so that when I watched Videodrome, and remember I was watching it on VHS, which is the perfect medium for watching Videodrome, because you even got those little bits of static coming across the screen. Those of you old enough will know what I'm talking about. And I actually thought that the films were having an effect on me. You know how in Videodrome, the video channel actually sort of starts to change you? I felt that Cronenberg's films were changing me. It was genuinely an obsession. So much so that when I went to university and studied film studies later on in my 20s, I wrote my thesis on Cronenberg. And I particularly wrote it on Crash and Existence, which had just come out and were two films that absolutely fascinated me. This is Crash in a beautiful version from Arrow Video. A lot of people don't get this film, but for me, this was the purest Cronenberg movie of all. And what I liked about Cronenberg was his films were about transcendence, but not religious or spiritual transcendence, but biological transcendence. The transcendence of the body into a new form, into a new phase. And I thought this was a fascinating sort of subversion of the usual idea of religious transcendence. But that's just me. And then after Existence, Cronenberg for me changed as a director. He stopped using his own scripts, he stopped using his own material. And I felt he went into a decline. What happened though was, in the world of criticism, he became more popular. Why? Because he made more ordinary films. He made more film festival films. So when A History of Violence came out in 2004, all these critics who previously had not understood Cronenberg or been dismissive of Cronenberg said, "Oh, what a fantastic movie, isn't Cronenberg great? He's finally matured." No, he deteriorated. He lost what was specific and original about him. You know, it's like someone saying, "Oh, you know, Rembrandt's produced all these masterpieces, but I prefer that sketch he did of his wife last Sunday." What? I couldn't believe it when I saw an IndieWire poll that said, 10 best Cronenberg films, and at the top was Eastern Promises, which is his most simplistic film, just a basic thriller. Anyone could have made it. I enjoy the film. I like all of Cronenberg's films. But to put that top was insulting, really, I thought. Now, what's happened with Crimes of the Future is Cronenberg has gone back to being Cronenberg. He's not a prestige director now, he's not a festival director. He's gone back to where he used to be at Existence. He's gone back to making his own scripts. And this is the big revelation of Crimes of the Future. I'd forgotten just how important Cronenberg's script writing is to his directing, to his work. The dialogue, the way he writes it, the way he produces characterization, the oddness of it, is a crucial part of his filmmaking. And it comes back in Crimes of the Future. You get the weird names, the weird sort of perversions of character. And you also get the weird approach that Cronenberg has to narrative. What I always loved about Cronenberg's films ever since I was a kid is that they progress absolutely logically. But in their logic, they produce kinks. So you're used to kinks in a narrative in a surreal film, so something in a Lynch film, something goes weird. In a Cronenberg film, things go weird, but with a perfect logic. And that's what I found absolutely fascinating. So you go 2 scenes in, then something really odd happens and you flip sideways, but then you keep going logically, then you do it again. And that's what Videodrome was like to me. Crimes of the Future gets back to that. This is it on the front of CinemaScope. There's Viggo Mortensen looking rather ill, because he was ill. He got injured and he had to spend most of the film squatting down because he was injured in a previous movie he'd been making, which actually suits the movie. Now the movie is it's set in the future, near future, and what has happened is because of all the gunk that we're putting into our oceans and our rivers and all the crap in the world, the human body has started to evolve. Some might say deteriorate, and it's starting to produce all sorts of weird organs that we've never seen before and don't seem to have any purpose. And the film is about how different people react to this. Mortensen is a guy, he's really badly affected by it. And what he's decided to do, he's decided to partner up with Léa Seydoux, who wouldn't? He's decided to partner up with Léa Seydoux, and they've become performance artists. And what she does is, she tattoos these organs and then extracts them live in a performance in this kind of weird surgery. And the various people that Mortensen and Léa Seydoux meet all have their own take. So they meet a detective who wants to stop this because he thinks it's veering away from humanity. Other people want to encourage it. One guy actually wants to develop human beings so that they actually eat, synthetic food. They actually eat waste products, chemical waste products. And what Cronenberg is doing here is he's taking this kind of, weirdy-beardy scenario to look at 2 things. He's looking at, A, the relationship of people to art. What is art? Who's the artist? Is Mortensen the artist because he actually produces the material, his own body? Or is it Léa Seydoux who's the artist? Or is it a bit of both? Or is it the audience in what they cravenly want to see? So it's a very sort of philosophical, arty-farty film. And 2, it's a film that looks at how a particular occurrence in human society creates different reactions in different people according to their own desires. And one of the interesting things about this film is that no one is who they appears to be. With the possible exception of the Léa Seydoux character, everyone is different from what they appear to be. So they might start being, for example, seeming to be someone who is pro exploring this new world but they've actually got an ulterior motive. In some ways then Cronenberg's film is quietly quite a political film, because it's about how people appear or project a particular political motive while having an ulterior one behind it, which I think is very true of the world we live in now. And that's what this film is kind of about in a sort of very roundabout, oblique way. And that's the joy of it. But the reason why there's a lot of negativity towards this film is the form. People have come to Cronenberg, they love all the goo, they love all the shock horror, the body horror, and they love these kind of pounding narratives with weirdness in. If that's what you want, you're going to be disappointed. Cronenberg is an older man now, he's exploring his art in a different way, and this is very much an art film. It's very slow, it's glacially paced. It's really, going along with its aesthetic, artistic theme, it's really a performance piece. It's people in rooms with painterly light and, mise-en-scène. And there are little rhymes in the mise-en-scène. So it starts out with a picture of that Greek cruise liner that sank, and it's still there. And it starts with that. And then there's constant shots of boats rusting in harbours, the old technology wasting away as a new technology takes grip on the public imagination. So it's a very painterly film. It's a very sort of, it's watching actors talking to each other in rooms. It's not an action movie. It's not even really a narrative. The acting is rather strange. If I had 2 criticisms of this film, one is that it's very hard to understand the dialogue. It's a Euro pudding. It's got an international cast. Hardly any of them are speaking there in a natural English accent. I think there's only one cast member who does. Because even Kristen Stewart whispers her lines in this rather odd way all the way through. And Viggo Mortensen is constantly coughing. So you've got to get your ears tuned in. And there are a couple of characters whose motives are not, I think, fully realised. But otherwise, I think it's a very beautiful film. If you're a Cronenberg fan, it's a must. A, because Cronenberg has come back. Forget all that Eastern Promises, Dangerous Method. I like those films, but they're not Cronenberg. Anyone could have made them. This is a Cronenberg movie. No one else but Cronenberg could have made this. And it's also a treat for Cronenberg fans because it's a summation of his other work. So, like in Existenz, it's about a group of people brought together because of their fascination with a particular new idea, making body art. Like Crash, it's about people who make art out of trauma. Like Videodrome and The Fly and The Brood, it's about the body changing and the sort of interaction of psychology and biology. So all those themes are all reinvestigated. And I think it's well worth your time if you're willing to be patient and willing to be open-minded. It's a very different kind of Cronenberg film to what we've had before. It's not as fast, it's not as compelling. It's more a film where you just sort of sit back and let it come to you, but you'll be thinking about it for days. So do give it a chance. Thank you.